Hi, so I was just editing the video and I noticed that there are a few things that I didn't mention. So I'm gonna be writing them on the screen, like the things that I forgot to talk about. And also, I want to put a quick trigger warning before this video starts. I'm gonna be talking about a bad hospital experience, as you can tell by the title. So I'm gonna write all the stuff that I mentioned in the video, I'm gonna write them somewhere on the screen. So if any of these things trigger you, then please do not continue watching this video because it might be triggering, although I try to be as vague as possible while talking about the things that happened. Yeah. Hi, so today I'm making an eat with me video. I have tuna pasta with bread. I'm actually hungry, so I'm gonna try to eat and also talk. A few people have asked about my bad hospital experience. I mentioned it in my last few videos. I never really talked about it because I didn't feel like it was gonna help anyone, but I've been getting a few questions. So I asked on Instagram if you'd like me to talk about it or you'd like me to talk about recovery stuff. Most people are saying to talk about my hospital experience, so that's what I'm gonna do. It all started when I went to bleach my hair. So I went to this hair salon and I started feeling kind of anxious. They had like bleached my hair and everything, but the color wasn't sticking. I was like, it's fine, I'm just gonna go home, like I don't really have that much time. On my way back home, I ended up having a panic attack, and then I started feeling dizzy, and then I passed out, and then I hit my head. I talked to my brother asking him when him and mom were gonna come because they were on their way. So I was like, I'm really not doing well. So like, what's up? When are you coming? At the time, I was kind of having suicidal thoughts and I kind of had a plan, but I ended up talking to my brother about it. So he was making sure that there was no way I can act on it. After that, I had an appointment with my dietitian. I was trying to keep myself calm, but I ended up breaking down at her office. Like I was just crying and it was like I was feeling very overwhelmed. So she was like, okay, we're gonna call the psychiatry team just to see if everything's fine, you know, like, yeah. So that's what happened. I talked to my therapist and she was like, okay, you should probably go to the ER. When she told me that, I kind of just handed the phone to mom because like I was not ready to deal with another ER visit or like hospital admission or any of that stuff because I had been trying so hard not to go back to the hospital. Mom and I talked and we decided not to go to the ER. And on our way back home, I found a way to act on the plan that I had, even though my brother was aware of it. Like he was trying to do everything to stop me from acting on it, but I found a way out, I guess. And I did not tell them when I did the thing that I did. I don't remember exactly what happened then, but I do remember us going back to the hospital. But even then, my mom and my brother had no idea that I had done what I did. After that, everything was kind of like a blur. I do remember like waking up at the ER and I remember seeing one of the psychiatrists who's part of my treatment team. But I don't remember what we talked about, I don't remember a single thing. And at one point, they told my parents that it would be best if I go to the ICU. But one, it was too expensive, and two, there were no beds available. And even if I wanted to get admitted to the hospital, there were no beds available. That was when I got transferred to a shitty ass hospital. Now I'm gonna get into the actual key. So I got to the other hospital. The nurses at the ER were not the nicest. Like they were very rude. And I kind of told mom, I was like, is it just me or are the nurses not that nice? She was like, yeah, let's hope that that's not the way it is in the psych unit. Well, guess what? I don't remember the first night there or the second day. I do remember that I asked them to talk to my parents and they wouldn't let me. They told me that the first few days I couldn't talk to them, so I was like, okay, like I understand, that's how it is usually. So I waited a couple of days. I talked to them just to ask them to get my stuff from home. So at the time, they started changing my medication. Let me point something out, something that's very important. They changed my medication before the psychiatrist even saw me or talked to me. That was like my first red flag. I was like, ha. Okay. Anyway, I was like, he's probably a good doctor. Like, he knows what he's doing. I think it was like my 4th day when I saw not the psychiatrist who was taking care of me at the time, but a different psychiatrist. He talked to me and I told him how I feel ready to go back home and how the environment here wasn't really helping in any way. And he was like, if you think you're ready, and I see that you're very like aware of the things you're saying and you're very aware of the situation you're in, so if you feel like you're ready, maybe you can leave tomorrow. So I called my parents. I was telling them what the doctor had told me, and I was like, please come, just come, let them know that you want to get me out of there. That was when a fucking nurse came into my room, snatched the phone from my hand, and told my parents that what I had told them was all lies. She told them that the psychiatrist didn't say that I was ready to go out, and I wanna eat. She basically just told my parents that I was lying to them just for them to come get me out of there. I was so frustrated, and after that I was not allowed to talk to my parents. At first I was trying to be very calm, but I still hadn't seen any therapist, and I was still very much struggling with suicidal thoughts and ideations. Okay, so I forgot to mention that after I wasn't allowed to talk to my parents, I asked to talk to either the psychiatrist or the therapist there, but I also wasn't allowed to do so, and I was like, okay, I want to discharge myself AMA. I want to talk to my parents just for them to come get me, get the papers done. They were like, no, you're not allowed to do that. And when that happened, I felt kind of trapped and I felt kind of helpless, and I didn't really know what to do because it felt like I didn't have any option. And then this happened. I ended up having another attempt while I was at the hospital. And after having the attempt, I started having a panic attack. And I just remember the nurses like holding me and touching me, and they were just yelling at me, blaming me, shaming me for the thing that I did. And it was like very, very, very stressful, and like even talking about it now is kind of like making me feel overwhelmed, because just remembering what happened at the time is just, yeah. So while I was having the panic attack, the nurses were like, if you don't stop doing this, by doing this they meant if I don't stop having a panic attack. I'm like, do you really think that's how it works? And they were like, if you don't stop doing this, we're gonna tie you to your bed, we're gonna get like some kind of tranquilizer to help calm you down. And I couldn't talk. Like, I was so overwhelmed and stressed, I couldn't talk. I was just, I'm not sure if I was crying or just like trying to breathe. I don't remember. But what I do remember is that they were holding me, and I was starting to have flashback episodes, and it was like them holding me was making things worse. And I don't blame them, like they wouldn't know. So like I was like trying to remind myself of that. But when they started threatening me to fucking tie me to the bed, or that was when I started feeling very, very, very unsafe. They ended up actually getting the tranquilizer and injecting it in me. And that did not make anything better. Like, it made the physical symptoms of anxiety kind of go away, but I was so deep into my mind that I was kind of having a panic attack without the physical. I don't know how to explain it. It was like, it was just very bad, and yeah. After that, the next day, I finally saw the therapist there. I told her about what happened, and I told her how I don't feel safe when they touch me and threaten to tie me to the bed and tranquilize me and do that stuff. So I explained to her that I've gone through a trauma and that triggers the thing that I've gone through. She was like, tell me more about the trauma. I was like, to be honest, I haven't started doing trauma work. I don't feel ready to talk about it. And she got pissed off at me because I didn't want to talk about the trauma. She was like, how the fuck am I supposed to help you if you're not gonna open up to me? I'm like, I haven't opened up to my therapist. What makes you think that I'm gonna talk to you about anything? So yeah. So after having that conversation, I was still feeling very anxious. I was like fidgeting a lot. I was walking around in my room. I couldn't like stay still because I was anxious. It's not that I couldn't stay still. Like I could if I wanted to. But you know when you're anxious, you just feel like you want to walk around and do stuff and you know? And I didn't really have any other distractions. And then the same nurse comes in. She's like, we're gonna give you this tranquilizer because you're anxious a lot and it's showing. And I'm like, I'm trying to use skills to calm myself down. I'm fine, it's not that bad. Like I can lay down if you want. But even while I was laying down, they saw that I was still fidgety. So they were like, we're gonna tie you to your bed. So that was when I went back to the psychologist's office. I was like, they're doing it again. And I just told you that I don't feel safe when they do that. Can you please talk to them? She was like, yeah, of course. I was like, thank God she understands. Then she talked to them. They told her that I was fidgeting a lot. And again, I tried to explain to her that I have skills, I have my own ways to calm myself down. It's gonna take a bit of time, but I'm gonna be able to calm myself down. They were very insisting on me taking the tranquilizer shot. The psychiatrist who I had talked to before, who said that I could leave, came a few days later, and I talked to him again. I was like, I want to go home. He was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to your doctor. I'm like, are you sure this time? Like, are you actually gonna do that? And they did end up calling my parents for like a family meeting. I was like, I got the chance to talk to my parents again. I was telling them how I'm doing worse there, and I was telling them how my eating was getting worse and how it was negatively affecting my recovery overall. And again, came in, snatched the phone out of my hands, and basically told my parents that I was lying. At that point, my parents were very confused on what was going on, because like I was telling them something, nurses were telling them something, the doctor who I hadn't seen before was telling them something completely different, and it was just all very stressful. And I just want to point something out. At that point, I was on the meds that the psychiatrist, who had never seen me before, prescribed for me, and we ended up finding out that those meds were actually like, it was pretty much like I was overdosing on meds. I'm all done, but I'm not done talking. Because I'm the luckiest girl on earth, when we were supposed to have the family meeting, the weather was so bad, it was snowing, the roads were closed, and I was like, at that point I felt so hopeless because I finally had the chance to like talk to my parents and maybe actually see them, and then it got taken away because the weather was not good. I was focusing on skills, I was focusing on working on myself, and I did a lot of work on myself to like calm myself down, accept the fact that I'm there because I couldn't really do anything. I basically just did a lot of work on myself. And the last couple of days were kind of easier because like the nurses who were in charge for those days were very sweet and understanding, and we would go get coffee together and we would go out on walks. And that's something I had never done with any of the nurses who were there. So it was kind of more like relaxing, and I was actually able to talk to my parents. So yeah, that made me feel a lot better. Last day, ugh, even like saying that I got out of there just makes me feel good. But yeah, during my last day, I told the doctor that I wanted to go. I was like, that was the first time that I see the doctor who prescribed my meds and who was in charge of me. And he talked to my parents before he even talked to me, which is very, very unethical as far as I know. And same for the therapist who was there. She had talked to my parents without even asking me, which was, yeah. Last day, I talked to my parents. I basically told them about everything because at that point they were hearing stuff from me that was completely different from the stuff they were hearing from the nurses, and they weren't sure if they could trust me or not. So I opened up about a lot of stuff that I had never talked about to them. I told them everything. I was like, I'm being this honest with you because I'm desperate. I want you to trust me. I want to go back home. And it ended up working when I swore on my cat's lives. That's like the only way for anybody to get the truth out of me. Like, make me swear on my cat's lives, and anything I say after that is definitely like the truth. I have finally managed to make them trust me again. The doctor was nice. He wasn't bad. Other than the fact that he gave me some very bad meds, he was a good person. But the meds I was on, I feel like, honestly, now that I look back at it, I feel like I was high the whole time I was on meds because the same kind of symptoms were showing. So yeah, that's my terrible hospital experience. Even now, whenever I have panic attacks, I'm always so worried about people telling me that they're gonna fucking tie me up or they're gonna tranquilize me, because like the thought of taking meds now when I'm having a panic attack just terrifies me. I'm honestly glad I made this video because I was kind of stressed about having dinner. I've been having a hard time with food, so this kind of helped because it helped distract me. And now I'm gonna try to edit this video to also distract myself, maybe even draw. And if you want to get the drawings that I do, you can. Just DM me. I get so awkward every time I talk about this. But yeah, I made a coloring book, I guess. So if you want to get that, do it. That's it. I'm not gonna talk anymore. This is the longest video I've ever made. I'm gonna stop talking. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I don't know what to say. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking good care of yourself. I hope you never have to go to a hospital as shitty as that one, or to any hospital for that matter. Like, fuck that. Now I'm trying my best to be a perfect outpatient patient so that I wouldn't ever have to go back to the hospital, because like, I'm so done with that. That's it. I'm gonna stop talking. Bye.